The security guard glanced at my Tesla Model 3, then at his clipboard, his expression dismissive. Employee parking is around back, miss. Executive lot is reserved for Harrison family members only. Behind me, my cousin Derek's Lamborghini roared into the VIP space, its gaudy orange paint job screaming for attention. He stepped out, adjusting his designer suit with a smirk. "Still driving that economy car, Sarah?" He called out. "You know, if you'd taken that junior analyst position I offered, you might be able to afford something more appropriate for a Harrison." I smiled, thinking about the fleet of luxury vehicles sitting in my private garage, the ones my family knew nothing about. "I like my Tesla, Derek. It's practical." "Practical," he scoffed. "Like your practical decision to leave Harrison Global 5 years ago? How's that working out for you?" If he only knew that while he was playing executive in his father's company, I'd been quietly building Harrison International, a conglomerate that had systematically acquired controlling interests in key industries worldwide. Today's board meeting would reveal just how practical my decisions had been. "I manage," I said quietly, steering my car toward the back lot. My phone buzzed with a message from my COO. "Everything's in place. Harrison Global's board doesn't suspect anything about the shareholder meeting. Their stock is vulnerable, just as we predicted." I parked between two service vehicles, smoothing down my intentionally understated suit. The whole Harrison family would be at today's meeting, their annual gathering to celebrate their supposed business success. Uncle Robert, the CEO, would make his usual speeches about family legacy. Derek would brag about deals he hadn't actually closed. And I would sit quietly in the back, playing the role of the family disappointment, right until the moment I revealed who really controlled their destiny. "Sarah." My Aunt Margaret's voice carried across the lobby as I entered through the employee entrance. "Darling, we didn't expect you to attend. Given your current situation." My current situation was running a global enterprise worth 10 times Harrison Global's market cap, but they still thought I was working at some mysterious small business consultancy. "I wouldn't miss it, Aunt Margaret," I replied, accepting her air kiss. "Family tradition after all." "Speaking of tradition," Uncle Robert boomed, approaching with his usual commanding presence, "the real family members are gathering in the executive lounge before the meeting. You understand, of course, shareholders only." I nodded, suppressing a smile. They had no idea that through a complex network of shell companies and proxy voters, I was actually their majority shareholder. "Of course," I murmured. "I'll just wait in the main boardroom." Derek laughed, slapping his father's back. "Come on, Dad, let her join us. It's not like she can understand the big decisions we're making anyway." My phone vibrated again. Another message: Harrison Global's vulnerabilities confirmed. Their Asian market expansion is failing and their European contracts are at risk. They'll know within hours. I took my seat in the back of the boardroom, watching the family filter in after their executive gathering. Uncle Robert took his position at the head of the table, his presence commanding attention. Derek slouched into a leather chair near him, scrolling through his phone with affected boredom. "Before we begin," Uncle Robert announced, "I want to celebrate another successful year for Harrison Global. Our family's legacy continues to grow stronger." I opened my laptop discreetly, monitoring the real-time data that told a very different story. Harrison Global's stock had already started to dip as rumors of their failed expansion leaked to the market. "And now," Uncle Robert continued, "I'm pleased to announce that Harrison Global will be pursuing an aggressive new growth strategy." My phone lit up with urgent messages from my team. Everything was ready. The security team had been briefed. The documents were prepared. In exactly 1 hour, the Harrison family would learn that their legacy had been quietly slipping through their fingers for years. And the quiet cousin they'd banished to the employee parking lot was about to become the most powerful person in the room. I smiled, thinking about Derek's mock offer of a junior analyst position. By the end of today's meeting, he'd be lucky if he had any position at all. Sometimes the best revenge isn't parking in the executive lot. It's owning the entire building. And I own much more than that. The board meeting proceeded with its usual pompous ceremony. Uncle Robert droned on about family values, while Derek interrupted with exaggerated accounts of deals he claimed to have closed. I watched the stock ticker on my laptop continue its steady decline, waiting for the perfect moment. "And now," Uncle Robert announced proudly, My son Derek will present our expansion strategy for the Asian markets. Derek swaggered to the podium, shooting me a condescending smile. While some members of our family prefer to play at small business consulting, Harrison Global thinks bigger. My phone buzzed silently. A message from my head of Asian operations. Singapore contract officially terminated. Hong Kong office closing announcement ready. Waiting for your signal. Our Asian strategy, Derek continued, completely unaware of the disaster unfolding, will double our market presence in the next quarter. I suppressed a smile, knowing that in reality Harrison Global's Asian operations were hours away from complete collapse. My team had already acquired their major contracts through subsidiary companies. Ms. Harrison, my security chief's voice whispered through my earpiece. Everything is in position. Shall we proceed? I gave a subtle nod, watching Derek fumble through slides that were already obsolete. The boardroom doors opened silently as my security team took their positions. And furthermore, Derek's presentation was interrupted by his phone buzzing loudly. His face paled as he read the message. Dad, we have a situation. Uncle Robert's phone rang next, followed by a cascade of alerts throughout the room. The board members' faces showed increasing panic as they read the news. This is impossible, Uncle Robert stood abruptly. Our Singapore office just announced its closure? The Hong Kong contracts are cancelled? Who authorized this? Actually, I spoke for the first time, closing my laptop. I did. The room fell silent. Every head turned toward me. You. Derek laughed, but it sounded hollow. You can't even afford a proper car. How could you possibly? Security, I called out clearly. Please execute Protocol Alpha. The boardroom doors opened fully and my security team entered. The chief stepped forward, his voice carrying through the stunned silence. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sarah Harrison, Chairman of Harrison International and majority shareholder of Harrison Global Enterprises. The chaos that erupted was almost theatrical. Derek dropped his presentation clicker. Aunt Margaret's perfectly maintained composure cracked like thin ice. Uncle Robert's face turned an interesting shade of purple. This is absurd, he sputtered. We would know if someone had acquired majority shares. I stood slowly, enjoying the moment. Would you? Like you knew your Asian expansion was failing? Or that your European contracts were being systematically acquired by shell companies? Companies that, as of this morning, all belong to Harrison International. Harrison International? Derek's voice cracked. That's the conglomerate that's been dominating global markets. Yes, I smiled, walking to the front of the room. The same conglomerate that now owns 51% of Harrison Global's voting shares. Through various proxies and subsidiaries, of course. We couldn't have you discovering my involvement too soon. The security chief handed me a folder. The transfer papers are ready, Ms. Harrison. Transfer papers? Uncle Robert demanded. Yes, Uncle Robert. As majority shareholder, I'm exercising my right to reconstitute the board. Effective immediately, Harrison Global will be merged with Harrison International under new management. I projected my laptop screen onto the main display, showing the real numbers behind Harrison Global's operations. The board members gasped as they saw the truth about their company's situation. While you were all busy playing at being business titans, I continued, I was building something real. Something that didn't need family connections or flashy cars to succeed. Derek slumped in his chair, his earlier arrogance evaporated. The junior analyst position I offered you won't be necessary, I cut him off. Though I am creating some new positions in middle management. You're welcome to apply, through proper channels of course. The employee entrance is around back. The irony of my words wasn't lost on anyone in the room. Uncle Robert seemed to age years and minutes as he watched his empire slip through his fingers. How? He whispered. How did we not see this coming? I thought about all the family meetings where they'd dismissed me, all the times they'd relegated me to the back parking lot and back rooms. Sometimes, I replied quietly, the best place to observe a company's weaknesses is from the back of the room. And sometimes the people you underestimate are the ones you should fear most. The next hour would change everything and I was just getting started. Part 3 of my plan would teach them the true meaning of family business. And it would begin with a very different kind of parking arrangement. The afternoon sun slanted through the boardroom windows as I watched my family's carefully constructed world crumble. The security team had positioned themselves strategically around the room while my legal team distributed the merger documents. As you can see, I continued, pulling up more detailed financials on the screens, Harrison International has been systematically acquiring key assets for the past 5 years. Every time you celebrated a successful deal, you never realized you were actually negotiating with my companies. But the funding, Derek interrupted, his voice weak. Starting a company like that would require billions. You mean like the small inheritance grandmother left me? I smiled, remembering how they'd mocked my decision to sell her antique jewelry collection. The collection you all thought was worth maybe a few million? The one Uncle Robert advised me to take the first offer on. Uncle Robert's face showed dawning recognition. The Sultan's offer was actually from my art acquisition team, I confirmed. The collection was worth considerably more than you realized, especially to certain private collectors in Dubai. I pulled up another screen showing the complex web of companies and assets now under Harrison International's control. The board members leaned forward, finally seeing the true scope of what I'd built. While you were all busy comparing cars and vacation homes, I continued, I was building a global network. Every time you dismissed me as the family disappointment, I was acquiring another piece of your market share. Aunt Margaret, who had recovered some of her composure, spoke up. But surely the board won't allow this hostile takeover. Hostile? I laughed softly. There's nothing hostile about a majority shareholder exercising their rights. And as for the board, I gestured to my team, who distributed more documents. Meet your new board of directors. The doors opened again and a group of distinguished executives entered. Leaders I'd recruited from top global companies, experts who had helped me build Harrison International while Harrison Global stagnated under family management. Mr. Harrison, my new board chairman addressed Uncle Robert, your office should be cleared by end of day. Ms. Harrison will be taking over the executive suite immediately. Derek jumped to his feet. This is ridiculous. You can't just walk in here and... Actually, I cut him off. And Derek? Your parking spot is being reassigned. Employee parking is around back, remember? The security chief stepped forward again. Ms. Harrison, the executive transition team is ready. Shall we begin the formal handover? I nodded, watching my family's faces as the reality of their situation sank in. The mighty Harrisons, brought down by the cousin they'd banished to the back parking lot. Before we proceed, I addressed the room, I want to make something clear. This isn't about revenge. It's about building something meaningful, something beyond the superficial success you've all chased for so long. I pulled up Harrison International's Global Impact Report, our sustainable initiatives, charitable foundations and employee development programs. While you were buying sports cars and hosting yacht parties, I was creating real value. Harrison International isn't just another corporation. It's a force for change in the global market. Uncle Robert, who had been staring at the documents in silence, finally looked up. Why reveal yourself now? Why not continue operating in secret? Because, I replied, thinking of all the family meetings where they'd ignored my ideas. Sometimes the best lessons require a personal touch. And this company needs more than just new management. It needs a complete cultural transformation. I turned to address the assembled board members and executives. Harrison Global's assets will be fully integrated into Harrison International's operations within 30 days. All employees will be evaluated based on merit, not family connections. Derek's face had turned an interesting shade of pale. And what about us? The family. You're welcome to apply for positions within the new organization, I said calmly. Through proper channels, of course. Your applications will be evaluated like anyone else's. Aunt Margaret's perfectly manicured hands trembled as she clutched her designer handbag. But we're family. Yes, I agreed. We are. Which is why I'm offering you the chance to earn your positions, rather than simply terminating everyone immediately. I projected another screen showing Harrison International's corporate structure. The company will be reorganized into 5 main divisions. Each division will be led by qualified executives chosen for their expertise, not their last name. Uncle Robert stood slowly, his authority visibly crumbling. The family trust, The voting shares have already been transferred. I completed his thought. Your lawyer should have done better due diligence on those shell companies you've been dealing with. They all led back to one place, or should I say one person. I walked to the window, looking out over the city skyline now dominated by Harrison International's holdings. I learned something valuable from all those years of being underestimated. Success isn't about who has the biggest office or the fanciest car. It's about vision, strategy, and the patience to build something lasting. Turning back to the room, I continued, Harrison International will maintain the family name, but not the family's way of doing business. We'll be known for innovation, integrity, and actual achievement, not just inherited privilege. The security team began escorting my family members out of the boardroom. Derek paused at the door, his earlier arrogance replaced with something like respect, or perhaps fear. Sarah, he said quietly, that junior analyst position you mentioned. HR is on the first floor, I replied. The elevator to the executive floor requires special clearance now. I'm sure you understand. As they filed out, I sat in what had been Uncle Robert's chair, thinking about the journey that had brought me here. From the back parking lot to the chairman's seat, from family disappointment to global CEO. My phone buzzed with updates. Harrison Global's stock had stabilized as news of the merger spread. Markets were responding positively to Harrison International's takeover. And my family's private jet, the one they'd never let me use, was being repainted with my company's logo. Ms. Harrison, my assistant entered. The press is waiting for your statement about the merger. I stood straightening my jacket. Tell them I'll be right down. And have someone move my Tesla to the chairman's parking spot. I think it's time to show that success doesn't need to be flashy to be significant. The next day's headlines told the story. Harrison International emerges from shadows. Family black sheep revealed as global CEO. Corporate coup. How Sarah Harrison built an empire from the back parking lot. Harrison Global merged into international powerhouse. Family management replaced. But my favorite was the small note in the business section. Harrison International announces new entry-level positions. Former executives welcome to apply. Sometimes the best revenge isn't taking over the family business. It's building something better while they weren't looking. And sometimes, just sometimes, the view from the employee parking lot shows you exactly what needs to change.